Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell. I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's fitness programs, and I've been in business since 1994. The purpose of this podcast is to get to the real deal of what really works, and most importantly, why things work. We're going to have a fun episode today as I am interviewing Miss Joanne Magley, who is a great role model, in my opinion, most people's opinion, in the area of fitness and wellness. So we'll get into that interview. Before, I've got to pay the bills for the podcast. So let me thank Jonathan and Lynn Gilden of the Gilden Group Realty Pros, the best real estate agents around. They're committed to providing the highest level of customer service and home sales. So why don't you give them a shout and figure out all what your home is worth. 386-451-2412. I also want to thank Overhead Door of Daytona Beach. Zach and Jeff Hawk, the owners, friends of mine. They do a great job of providing the best product and the best service in the area for garage doors. So check them out at overheaddoordaytona.com. All right, so I have with me this morning Miss Joanne Magley, who is an awesome client of ours, who I got to know after coming and speaking at the Rotary Club a couple times. So, Joanne, tell us a little bit about what you do from a professional perspective.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Rob.
Of course. Been looking forward to it.
From a professional perspective, I am in the public relations, communication business. So way back when, I went to school for mass media communications with the goal of working at a TV station, which I did for about 12, 13 years. And then that's actually what brought me to Florida from Ohio. And then from there, I transitioned out of TV news into roles at organizations where they needed somebody with TV news background to help pitch stories to the media. So I worked for, at the time it was Florida Hospital, now Advent Health, for about 5 years, being their public relations person. And then for the last 15 years, I've been with the County of Volusia in various communication roles. I was their community information manager and then their director. And then the last 5 years, I've had the privilege of still staying with the county, but transitioning to Daytona Beach International Airport, where I became their sole marketing communications director, instead of having somebody from the county just being their liaison every so often, if you will. They needed a dedicated person. So that's pretty much what I do. And I love promoting our airport and all the new flights and just the great asset we have in our community.
Which you do such a phenomenal job at, because like you're a client, but I also see what you do like on LinkedIn and things like that. And, you know, you're real good about separating when you're working out from your job and all that, which I think is a great trait for people. But like I saw that the Avello flights that came in and the Breeze flights that came in, and that came from you talking about that on social media. And because of that, we looked into it, and we have flown both Avello and Breeze out of Daytona because of that. And that's so cool, because like it goes full circle. So like you do such a great job. I would have not have known about that if it weren't for you.
Well, the thing about working at the airport and promoting, what's going on at the airport is the fact that it's something that you really believe in. Of course, I'm talking now and I've got a frog in my throat, and we don't edit this podcast.
I've had it too. We've all had a little bit of it. It's all good.
But we're doing something that you believe in, and what's better than being able to promote things in your community that in the long run, you know, helps tourism and then helps us get where we need to go.
Absolutely. And like, it is so obvious that you believe in what you do. Like my personal opinion is that people are good at things because they love it. Like I believe I'm good at training because I love training. Like, you know, when I'm on my own, when I'm like looking around, I'm looking on the internet, different workout things and looking at studies. So I think like people are good at things when they love it. And clearly you love what you do, and you do such a good job, like I said, because I see it all the time. And then it rang to be true. We went out to the airport, which I live here and I've flown it before, but like I was blown away at the Daytona airport. Like it was so nice, and you go other places and it's just not as nice. So it really is a great airport. It's great for the community.
Yeah, we just try to tell people, once you fly out of Daytona Beach, if you haven't, you will probably never go anywhere else again, because you save time from driving to a farther airport.
Yep.
You save the hassle of waiting in long lines. You save the stress from, are you gonna make your flight,
Yep.
by fall. So there's all sorts of positives there, and we're always working to get more and additional flights, because that's, we're a smaller airport, so we're not going to be like in Orlando or Miami or, New York. We're just not going to have the capacity that the other airports have, but with a little planning, you can make it work.
So before we segue into your fitness and wellness and how all that works out, I think you were telling me that the 500 is coming up, and aren't there a couple special flights for Daytona?
Yeah, so, the airlines know that, the Daytona 500 is what they call the Super Bowl of racing. So Delta adds a flight to and from New York so it's an incoming flight on Friday before the race, and then it's outgoing on the Monday after the race. So they do that with New York and with Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Those are direct flights. And then American adds a Dallas flight the Friday before the race, and it departs Monday after the race. And American is also adding a DC flight. Now, they're adding a seasonal DC flight direct, and it actually starts this Saturday of the 500, and it'll go for a few months. But for this race, they're bringing it Friday and Saturday, in addition to a few extra flights to and from Atlanta and to and from Charlotte, which, of course, connects you to anywhere in the world.
See, I just learned something new again. Once again, you're so good at your job. I just learned about that DC flight. That's pretty cool, because I've been wanting to visit up there. So you're fit. I believe you're very, very fit, and you have a reputation for being fit. You take care of yourself. I know that you were diligent about your diet long before I met you and all that. So how does physical fitness enter into your work and wellness, and how do you think it impacts the kind of job that you do, especially since you're a community person?
Well, I would say above and beyond how it affects my job, it's really how it affects your life. And, your job is a big part of your life. And I've always, like you said, I've always tried to be healthy. I started off walking, and I remember when I worked at the hospital, I was walking on the treadmill, and their exercise physiologist came over to me, and she's like, "Why are you walking?" I'm like, "That's because what I do." She's like, "You should be running." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not a runner." She's like, "You can do it." And that gave me the motivation to, when I'm outside walking, run to the stop sign and do it a little further. And before you know it, I was running. And I never considered myself, because, that whole negative talk. Mm-hmm. That's not me. I can't do that. So then I started, running and doing 5Ks. And, over the course of my, life, I've tried to stay active. And then, maybe the last couple of years, as I'm getting older, I wasn't as active as I wanted to be. And I said, I can take two different courses. I can either stay where I'm at and kind of wither away into some old, unhealthy person.
Like most of America, sadly.
Or I can really just do something to get me back into the motivational, the exercise lifestyle that I need to be and that I want to be. And then that's when I finally got hooked up here.
Yep.
Because I needed that. At that time in my life, I needed to have the coaching. So it's more of a holistic, and then the work is part of it. But also, even just with work, every day, I used to run with some friends in the morning, 5 a.m., because we were moms, and that's the time that we had to run. We had to do it in the morning before anybody would wake up, and then we'd get on with our day. And then people moved away, and I didn't get to do that anymore, and so I had to transition what I did. And then right? I think 2018 or so, or 19, we got a dog. And now I have this responsibility of this dog. So, and then COVID hit, so gyms were closed. So I started walking my dog every morning. And my dog is a large dog, husky, it likes to walk. So I would walk my dog. My goal was 2 miles in the morning because that's all I had the time to do in the morning. And I was happy with 2 miles. And I got to the point where if I didn't walk in the morning, my day was not going to be good.
Right.
I would actually have fear of missing out on the walk. What they call it, FOMA, fear of missing out, or FOMO. I would actually have this anxiety of, if I don't get this walk in, I know I'm going to feel crappy.
Right. Yeah, and some of the exercise psychologists talk about like the beauty of some shame. Like, we shame ourselves too much. That's not good, of course, but there needs to be a little bit of that, well, I need to do this, or I don't feel good. I feel a little bit guilty or feel shameful that I skipped it. And so that's what you're kind of talking about. And that's not a bad thing because it motivates you to get out the door in the morning.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to unlock your full potential? I want to introduce you to the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, a powerful resource to transform your life today. With expert interviews, practical tips, and inspiring stories, this podcast is your roadmap to lasting wellness. Here's what a listener has to say.
I used to struggle with my health, but this podcast changed everything. It's like having a personal trainer, nutritionist, and life coach totally for free.
With over 2,000 five-star reviews, we're a podcast you can trust. The Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
And it changes the way you think about a lot of things. It changes the way you think about what you're going to do the night before.
Right.
And now, I'm still guilty of it. I wanted to be in bed by 10 o'clock last night at the latest, like falling asleep. But my kids come in the room, and that's when kids are the most active and the most talkative. So you're not going to, push them away. So, but at least that's just, okay, I'm going to get a little less sleep. Different than, staying out, doing other, just mentality. So when you got to get up and do something, the night before you kind of change your perspective. So like today, I knew I wasn't going to have much time in the morning. So I got up a little earlier, got a lot of stuff ready because I can't, you got to just be prepared. Right. And then transitioning to work. So when I'm at work, obviously now I've started my day off great because I've walked. And then the days that I come in here, I feel extra strong. I'm probably moving tables for people.
You got a great workout with Ellen this morning.
And, I work at a place where there's stairs or there's an elevator. And even when I worked at my last job at the county, there was also, stairs. Everybody has stairs. But a lot of people don't use them.
Only 1% of the people take the stairs. That's the study.
And forever, I've always made it a point to use stairs. And the great thing about using the stairs is if you do it every day, you might be a little out of breath when you get to, where your floor. In my instance, it's 3 flights of stairs. And at my old job, it was 3 flights of stairs. And I might huff a little bit when I get to the top, but it's not hard. Right. It's not a struggle. And if you do it every day, and the great thing about that is the people who I'm with, if my colleagues, they will, if they're with me, most of them are going to take the stairs.
It's almost a shame thing. Oh, Joanne's going up the stairs.
Well, it's like, and elevators actually you got to wait a little longer. But so during work, and my job is pretty sedimentary where I sit at a desk most of the time. I get up and I do other things, and sometimes there's activities or events that I'm working, but a lot of it is sitting at the computer, writing and doing work. So when I do get around and get up a few times, during my day, and I'm taking those stairs multiple times a day, it just helps.
Absolutely.
It just helps. It's
the activity level. You brought up something interesting with the workout and getting remotivated a couple of years ago. You heard me speak at the Rotary, and I think that's how I'm not sure if we met, but I know we got to know each other. And you had called to get in for working out, and I had to put you on the waiting list because we're so full. And the thing I tell a lot of people, and it's a credit to you, is, you know, and we don't just take any client, as you know, and but your persistence. Like, I remember you texted back when we finally did get you in this time, and I hadn't heard. Like, I put you on the list, and then, you know, nothing opened up, and I hadn't heard from you. And then, like, beginning of January, maybe something like that last year, I get a text, and we don't always save the numbers. And I said, "Who is this?" And you had said, "This is, you know, Joanne, I met you at Rotary." I'm like, "Wow, you're persistent like you." And I'm like, you know what? I remember telling Ellen, I said, "We got to make a place in this schedule because she's serious." And like, a lot of times people hire trainers and they think trainers are going to fix them. Like, oh, I'm just going to hire the trainer and that's all I have to do. And then they don't do anything. Where it's like, you said it right. You just needed coaching, the motivation, the accountability, make sure you do it right. But you do the work. I mean, when I give you homework, you know, you'll write back, done, check mark, whatever. But it's like, you do it. And I just think, like, that's such a good model that, you know, as trainers, I've been doing this 30 years, and it's like, it's great somebody wants to start and everything, but at the same time, you know, we're just here to start people. Like, they've got to do the work. We're not magic, and you do the work.
And the thing with being able to get workouts in or do exercises is making it fit for your time schedule and not having to stress about it on any level.
Right.
So for me, I knew that the time that I could do it is the mornings. Now, when we first did it, I believe, I want to say it was like, wasn't it like, it wasn't 10, maybe it was 9.
It was somewhere in there.
It was somewhere where I had to ask my boss, and she's very, it was very flexible. And for 2 days a week, I had a flexible schedule, but that didn't last that long. I only did that for a few weeks or maybe a month or two, and then you had something else open up, and then it was even easier, to fit into what I needed it to fit into, because, for me, a mom, kids, activities, after work is just, is
right.
Pretty much not happening.
Right. Yeah. And we always want to create a win-win with the client too, because we want people to be successful. We want people to walk around going, oh yeah, I got benefits from doing this. And it was like, but I think the key is that you really did earn your way into an earlier time spot. So in other words, like, we're not kidding when we say we're really full and there's nothing early, but like when somebody does go on vacation, or we have a client that's out 6 months of the year and they come back, it's like when that happens, the person that has earned it with their consistency, they're going to, that's just life, right? It's probably the same in your job. It's like you got 3 people that want the 7 o'clock and you got one that is going to be there because they've shown that. And then you get one that like cancels every other workout and you're going, who am I going to say the 7 o'clock opened up to? So it's like, that's just life, and you earned your way in. And I just think that's such an important message for people out there listening that are in the business world. Because a lot of people that listen to the podcast, are working. We have a lot of working professionals, a lot of the people that listen and everything, they're working professionals. And so like what I've heard everything you say so far about your fitness routine is 2 miles in the morning. That's very doable, but you do it every day. 30-minute workout 2 times a week with me or Ellen or somebody, you do it. And then your little homework we give you, you do it. Like all that adds up, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you're fit.
And, a lot of us, well, me, I'll just talk for me. Yes, I want to be healthy. And then, you want to look good, and you don't realize the other benefits that come with strength training.
Right.
I am so much stronger than I've ever been. And you notice it in the little things. So I did a mud run with my son, and there's all these obstacles. And, one of them you had to climb and like pull yourself over. And I remember just concentrating on those muscles of, pulling. And it was very, very hard, but I did it and I knew I could do it. And then another time at work, I had to pick something up and somebody was like, "Oh, it's heavy. It's heavy." And I went to pick it up, and honestly, it really wasn't very heavy. But if you're not used to using your muscles, then everything is harder.
And you're very strong, by the way. I tell you that a lot, and you really are, though. And another thing, like, I think that's interesting too, is like you said, when you were at the hospital and the exercise physiologist said you should be running, and your mind was you're not a runner. And it's so funny when you hear that, because it's like, I say it all the time, like, if you're physically fit, like if you walk or run or jog or go to the gym, but you're fit, you know what I mean? You have a healthy body weight and all that stuff. Like, you can run. And what's funny is, you've done several 5Ks we've been at, and at least one of them, you won your age group. And it's like, I know we don't go into those things going, "Oh, I want to win." I know that. But at the same time, you still did. And yet, it's kind of like Ellen says it a lot too. She goes, "It's, well, I'm not a runner." It's like, right. But like, because you're fit, and there might be people that are taking it so serious and they're real runners, so to say, and all that. And like, not. So it's like, it just shows you like how when you work on your overall fitness, you can do so many things well that you just jump into, right? Yeah.
And that's that whole, if you tell yourself you can't do something, then that's what's going to happen. You're not going to do it.
You have a plaque somewhere.
You've got to, and it sounds silly, but it's exactly what it is. It's the positive talk. And if you say you can do something, then that's your body and your mind is going to be trained to know that you can do it for the most part. I mean, I
totally agree. So a couple more questions. Number one, speaking of that, do you think that working out a little more consistently over the last year or so, do you think that's improved your self-talk in general?
Oh, definitely, because I don't know the science behind all the workouts that we do, and I don't need to. But I'm doing ththings that I never either thought I could do or never attempted to do. Because when you go to, I used to go to the Y, and I think the Y is great, but a lot of times I'm by myself.
Right.
I don't really know how to use the equipment. I don't know what, that is me. Some people can go to the gym and they can do their thing, and that's great. But that wasn't me. So coming here and doing these exercises that I never thought I could do, and at first they were hard. Like, what was that? You had me on that Bosey ball? Is that what it was called?
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll be back.
And I thought I was going to fall and hit my head.
Right.
The balance, even squats in the very beginning.
Yes.
And, we're only talking about a year or so ago. But then after a couple times on that Bosey ball, next thing you know,
you're doing
squats, it. And
it's
not easy. It's still hard, but I wasn't a wobbly mess. So it's just cool that, you're doing things. I'm doing things that I never thought of doing because I hadn't done them.
In the exercise psychology world, which, as you know, I follow a lot because of my psych degree, we call that self-efficacy, which means that competence leads to confidence and confidence leads to competence. So when you're able to do something you weren't able to do, you now get confident, right? And then you get confident and then you try new things and it just keeps rolling, positive momentum. So speaking of that, the last question here, and I already have one in mind that I thought about the other day. I forgot about with you, but I'm glad I remembered. What is your goal moving forward with fitness? What is your overall goal?
My goal is really to keep doing what I'm doing and doing more. I can always do more. And just not stopping.
Right.
Not stopping. I don't want to be looking like a bodybuilder.
Right.
I just want to be strong and I want to have energy and be healthy. So as long as I keep it up and there's no reason not to, because it's not, I don't feel like it's a chore. I like to do it.
Right, you do.
And so I don't know if that's the answer that you were, there's no right answers.
No, there's not.
I mean, there's no wrong answers, I should say.
There's many right answers.
There's a lot of right answers. So yeah, just to continue to be strong and stay healthy.
And my role in that is to just, continue with the accountability and education, I think, because I do think you like to know, certain things of why, what we're doing, which is good. And I like to explain that stuff. But one simple goal I think we got away from that will lead to your overall goal, because your general long-term goal, as you just said, is the goal I think everybody should have, which is just keep going, and then we can throw little things in there, though, that help motivate us. So I want us to get back to being able to do a complete chin-up.
Oh, there you go with the pull-ups.
We both forgot about that, didn't we? Or at least I did.
I didn't forget about it. I just, because I just thought, okay, we're beyond that segment
No,
now.
I just forgot. My brain went in a different direction.
Well, I will take that challenge or that goal, because I've always before we started when I started here, I couldn't do one. And then I think we got to maybe 6 or 7 or something like that.
Right.
I want to put a bar up in my house.
I think that's a great goal, because I've always said it, and not to because I know some people literally can't and maybe never can. So I don't want to make, throw it out there and say it's the ultimate, but in many ways, I've always said that the chin up is one of the greatest exercises, because it shows everything. It shows your strength, but it also shows your strength to weight ratio. In other words, somebody could say all day long, I use this example a lot, I bench press 400 pounds. And that sounds really cool. But then you go, well, how much do you weigh? And they say 450. It's okay. Not as impressive, right? But if somebody says they can knock out 10 pull-ups from the ground to the bar, no matter what, that's hard. I don't care if you weigh 100 pounds or if you weigh 200 pounds. So to me, the chin up and the pull up has just always been kind of a great example of strength, because we can go back to our hunter gatherer, and it's they had to be able to do it. If they couldn't get up a tree, they probably were food, right?
Wow.
So, kind of a dark example, but you know what I mean? I just think it's great. So I want to get us back to doing that. We'll do it pre-workout right after warm-up, and then post-workout we'll see where we're at. You up for the challenge?
I'm up for it.
All right. As always, Joanne, is a pleasure to talk to you. Do you have anything you'd like to add to the listeners out there? Any closing?
Well, just I like to encourage people just to do a little. Start with a little, and then as you do a little, then you can do more. And the simple exercise of walking really just changes the trajectory of your whole day.
100%. You gain momentum.
And not just for the physical part of exercising, but also the outside, nature, all that other thing.
Body, mind, and spirit. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed Joanne as much as I have, and we will talk to you next time.